So the wedding and event space business has definitely been some of the hardest hit during this pandemic. These 5 individuals that I have with me today are definitely ones that can attest to all of this and tell us a little bit about how they're coming out of it, pivoting, and how their business is going to be growing here throughout the rest of 2020. I am Stephanie Bohart, the Director of Business Success for Revolution Mortgage, and this is Meeting with Extraordinary Minds, our event professionals edition. So with me today, I have Santana Pennauchi, owner of Events by Santana. Thanks for coming, Santana. We appreciate you joining us.
Hi, good morning.
We have Eric Hunt, the Myrtle Beach wedding officiant. Hey, Eric.
Hey, good morning.
We have Joe Reinhardt, owner of Carolina Limousine and Coach. Hey, Joe.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. I have Thom Krimminger, owner of MF Sctratch, Catering and Events. Hey, Joe, or Thom, excuse me.
Good morning.
Good morning. And then we have Brooke Christl, owner of Christl Photography. Hey, Brooke.
Good morning, guys.
And when you see all my beautiful pictures, Brooke was the lovely face behind the camera taking them. So if you need any headshots, give her a call. Quick little plug. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, tell us a little bit about what's going on. So I really just want to ask you, start off getting the opinion from all of you is, how is your business going leading up to the pandemic? And then what happened when it hit those, awful moments there right at the beginning of March? So Santana, I'm going to ask you if you would go ahead and start first.
Sure. So middle of March I was just starting off on my spring peak, and I'm sure that's all of us. March, April, May are my 3 busiest months of the year. And literally the day, March 14th, I was setting up for one of my biggest charity events of the year. And we had set up the entire runway, all the tables, food and beverage. And about 6 hours before the event, we got a call from the board saying, we can't have this event. And from there, it all quickly went downhill. And I would say within about 2 weeks of the pandemic beginning, all of my April, May, June events had already been canceled or rescheduled.
Oh, it's just so hard to hear. And I was like, and I know the people on the other side of those events, it was even harder for them to make those decisions. Thom, can you kind of touch on kind of echo kind of what Santana was saying?
Pretty identical situation. It was 11 March. Phone started ringing mid-afternoon with cancellations that were, upcoming like that week. It continued through the 12th, and on the 13th, similar to Santana's story, same thing. We were halfway through food preparation for an event, and they called and said, we can't do this. So we salvaged the food, used it for some donation events that happened recently thereafter. But the calendar was full effectively through the end of the year and has now been basically wiped clean. The rebooking, which is what we're addressing now, people are trying to find that period where they believe that this will open up for them to have the event, have the wedding, have the party or celebration or what have you. So that's where we're at right now, is nobody knows what that magic date is for when we're going to be able to have this, and what the restrictions will be as far as quantity of people allowed per space, whether it's going to be based on square footage, fire code, or, outdoor events, which Joe had mentioned, a little while ago. We have to prepare for the rainy day, the hurricane season, the whatever it is. So if somebody decides to do something that's not in an enclosed venue because the restrictions might allow for it, now we have a secondary issue. And I'm certain by now all the tents have been sucked up from the inventory locally and further out, since that's what the restaurants are now doing.
Right, for sure. And Eric, I know, you deal with a lot of brides, a lot of grooms, events that are coming through. How did everything happen for you?
Well, of course, after we get through the holidays, the first quarter of the year is always our booking season. Everyone gets engaged through from Thanksgiving to New Year's. Everyone's excited. And then, of course, that little spike after Valentine's Day. So we were in the midst of that. Everybody was planning their summer trips. Myrtle Beach, we're a destination. We're a destination for weddings. And that's what's really created some challenges is really the travel element. Fortunately for me, March was pretty much salvageable. A lot of my events early on in the season are smaller events. So a lot of those couples, continue forward. Everybody was trying to figure out and kind of navigate through what do we do. And then as we turned the corner into April, that's when it really started to get real with couples saying, wait a minute, we can't get to Myrtle Beach. And then, of course, we started to see the travel restrictions come into play, airline cancellations into NYR, that sort of thing. So that affected April. Now, fortunately, hopefully we're on the brink of turning that and people starting to come back to the beach. That's what we're seeing in the past couple of weeks, but there's still a lot of unknowns. Yeah,
for sure. I'm right there with you. I mean, unknowns in every business, but I would imagine, for sure for you guys, especially with the travel aspect of it. Brooke, how are you doing with your business? I know you've kind of changed a little bit, but how was everything going on up to it and then right when it hit?
Sure. So in my business, similar to a lot of these other professionals, January, February is a completely slow time for myself and a lot of others. So throughout the year, I save in my business to get me through January and February so then I can start earning income in March and April. So coming out of my slow season, then to have one of our busiest seasons, April and October tend to be the two busier wedding season months around here. To have that come at a complete halt has definitely affected and changed my business plan for saving even more. But it's definitely been an adjustment, and we've had a lot of weddings cancel. Some are trying to reschedule. Some, as Eric said, this is a destination location. So some people have decided to just cancel a wedding and get married where they're from at home, just because it's not about the actual wedding. It's just about the two people being husband and wife. And so instead of delaying it anymore, a lot of couples have decided just to get married at home and have a celebration there instead of having their destination wedding. As far as like beach portraits, a lot of families that vacation here, their vacations are on hold, so they don't really know what's going to happen, when travel restrictions are going to be lifted and what's going on. So definitely seeing fewer bookings on family sessions on the beach as well. So not really sure what's going on yet, but just rolling with the punches.
Yeah, for sure. And then Joe, can you finish up with just kind of how everything's going with you guys?
Okay, so we were having a great first quarter. We were probably on pace to double the quarter from last year. We entered the motor coach industry late 2019. We started doing all the work for Coastal Carolina University. What most people don't understand, the limousine industry is very networked. So we started seeing this in Asia and hearing from people in Asia what they were experiencing in like early February and late January. In fact, we had our limo show in Vegas the end of February, and everybody was fist pumping. Everybody was doing great. The industry has never been stronger because, we got over that Uber Lyft disruption, and now a lot of us have gone into the motor coach business. I found out it was real. I had 2 motor coaches the first week of March sitting in downtown New Orleans getting ready for the Sunbelt Conference. We had the women's basketball team and cheerleaders, and we got the call that CCU canceled their whole season. And that's when it really became real for us. Our last big weekend was March 14th. We had a great weekend. I mean, it was like people didn't even care about it. It didn't seem like it was real. And then right from that point on, all of a sudden, the next 30 days, it was cancellations all the way from March until April. But to give you an idea how good we were doing, is that even with losing 3/4 of March, we were still up 33% over the last quarter of last year.
That's great.
So the economy was, we were just running. A lot of our events have been rescheduled into the fall. We've had a lot of brides and events just move over till next year as well, too. So that's been a good thing. We haven't had a lot of cancellations. For us, the challenge is that we put potentially 56 people in a very small area. And that's the problem the event industry as a whole has, is how do we get people back together?
Yeah, for sure. That's what this whole industry is bringing people together for an amazing event to celebrate something. And so doing that with 10 people is not always as much fun or 3 people than, what you usually have. So for sure. And I mean, Joe, you kind of touched on it a little bit, and I wanted to kind of get with you. I was like, obviously you've all had some struggles, but has there been some successes throughout of this? And I know we talked a little bit about maybe just even your success could be that you readjusted your plan and made a better plan for your future.
So I can't say anything's a success. I mean, we're down literally like 98% business. I mean, we are going into other verticals. I think if any business owner is honest, we all see our own cracks, no matter how much, other people say how well we're doing. So for us, it's been like the ability to pull back a little bit and taking the time to reorganize what we do. I mean, we found other verticals. We're moving medical equipment. We've moved medical patients that are non-COVID-19. We foresee doing, for, people like Santana, I'm sure one of the questions that comes up is, how do I get my guests here if we don't know the circumstances of the airline industry? And so we have a couple weddings that we're going into other markets, picking up family and friends in places like Pittsburgh and New Jersey and bringing them in on, we'll pick them up Friday, bringing them in to work with them on Saturday and taking them home Sunday. Wow. And it's a sanitized vehicle. It's, just amongst family and friends, not strangers. They don't have to deal with the airlines, or less expensive. So, I mean, we are opening up other verticals. I think Thom said earlier, I mean, the challenge is nobody knows when the light at the end where the light is at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we're doing all this planning, but when is it really going to come back?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to ask you, Thom, I know a lot of places have been like utilizing catering to say thank you to healthcare workers or firefighters or frontline employees, people and things. Have they been using like services like yourselves? Or are they using more restaurant oriented? How does that all, how does that shake out for you guys?
What I'm seeing is it's predominantly volunteer based organizations that are doing that type of thing. Mm-hmm. We have not had anybody contact us saying, hey, we'd like to put on an event sponsored by X company to thank frontline workers or healthcare workers. We have been involved with Rotary, had something that they've done recently, so we participated in that along with a few other vendors. Food Line, I know, was one of them. They had donated some items as well. Then we've also supported the Meals on Wheels. They had a shortage of supply, which that's kind of another element to this entire conversation. But they had a shortage when they took over the school children's meals when Horry County had to cease the delivery of those. So we had products, so we assisted, just took it and something that they could use immediately. There's the volunteer, the thank you aspect of it. People and organizations are doing that, and they're obviously touching upon caterers because we have the ability to produce large quantities in a short period of time. And as Joe was saying, looking at different methods of the whole thing. So instead of the atypical buffet that you might see, we've gone to using prepackaged items, not prepackaged, but packaging items for single serving type thing. So it's an entire meal in a box. I have a real problem with just your basic styrofoam box, so it doesn't look like that. But if things continue in that vein, yes, there's definitely some progress that can be made there, and I do see that an uptick in that at this point in time, that there will be single meals going out to organizations.
Yeah, for sure. I would think so. Santana, have you seen things like that, or people reach out to you about how how can we do different things? I know not fully doing an event, but maybe getting advice.
Sure, and that actually has kind of been part of my new structure now too. Is how can these brides and grooms, or even charities? A lot of my clients are charities that are hosting events. How can they take the event that they were maybe supposed to have and restructure it? Or how can they take that silent auction that they were supposed to have at their charity and still be able to make money? As well as even the food aspect of events, you're probably going to start seeing now more plated options than you are buffet, where the serving staff comes and serves you directly rather than going through that buffet line that every single person has touched. So it definitely has made all of us kind of rethink and restructure a few things. And also when it comes to rescheduling their event, what I'm finding is a lot of vendors are already booked for that event. So a lot of our spring weddings are trying to book for fall. Well, fall is another one of our really busy seasons, and there may not be a vendor available. So I have started kind of giving more of those, one-on-one consulting classes, or maybe once we get to the point of having a group gathering, hosting kind of DIY wedding planning classes for those brides that maybe can't get a planner or have had to cut back on their budget and unfortunately, can't afford to necessarily have a planner to assist them along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's a great way and a great service to kind of put out there, because I'm sure there are some brides especially out there that are, had to cut back, whether their income has cut back or their fiance's income, and trying to still have that wedding that they want, but end up having to do more of it themselves, as opposed to before when they can just be like, it's so great, they're going to take care of it. So that's a great service that you're, starting to kind of work through offering. I wanted to find out then, Brooke, from you, I know that, saw some things that you were doing recently to kind of stay relevant. I want to kind of find out how that's working with you and kind of ways that you can kind of still work with the community.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't come up with the idea, but there is something called front porch sessions, which allows people to still have pictures taken while practicing social distancing. So it's a way for families that are together to have a family picture, and some people are choosing to do something funny, like in pajamas, sweatpants, holding Clorox wipes and toilet paper, and some people just take it as an opportunity to have a nice family picture. So it's something that I kind of started doing in the community. I had a client contact me, and I said, hey, if you organize it and let me know, get a couple people in your neighborhood, and just kind of pay it forward. And as it got a little bit more popular, I had my neighborhood my area coordinator kind of pick a charity of their choice of who they wanted to donate to. So I just was tallying up. I've photographed over 100 families so far, and we've raised over $5,500 for local charities. Specifically, one of the bigger ones has been Help for Kids or Backpack Buddies. Mm-hmm. So it's been a really great way to give back to the community, and it's a lot of things that people don't understand is like with everybody home, it's there's kids home from college. It's a first time that a lot of families have been together in the same place in a long time. And it's funny to me as a photographer to know the last time that somebody's had a family picture taken. And it's something casual, like on the front porch. And to me, I feel it's still challenging me as a photographer, because I can go to their house and get a front porch picture. And these are quick sessions, like 10-minute sessions. And within that 10 minutes, I'm looking around their yard trying to figure out where I can actually make a nice portrait as well. So it's been a nice challenge for me, and I feel it's been good to give back to the community and help when I can. This is my passion. This is what I love doing. And even if I don't have weddings and can't make money off of it, it's a way for me to give back to the community.
Well, and that's great. And I know that, it's keeping your name out there and people seeing that. And so the next time that they need a family session, they have an event coming up, they need anything, they're going to be like, let's call Brooke. She was the one that came out and took our picture, for charity. We got that great shot, or maybe they weren't even a client of yours and they were a friend, and the referral. And I know referrals are huge, especially in this business. So that's awesome. And Eric, kind of touching on that side, I wanted to get from you, like, how do you still market to people? How do you still try to rebook either new or getting there and kind of cutting through all that noise that's happening out there? Everybody now is still trying to send out their messages, has switched to social media to use that or different mediums to still kind of cut through that mess and let them know kind of what your service could be.
Sure. Well, and we know that through any downturn, the best thing for any business to do is to stay visible, to stay relative. That's the time that you put more energy into advertising than any other time. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for me, again, being a destination wedding provider, it's been a little bit easier from the standpoint that a lot of these people have been stuck at home. So they've had nothing else to do but to plan their weddings or to ask questions. And that's probably what I've seen more of, is people that just maybe needed some general information and wanted to have some of their questions answered. And some of the questions that they have, I don't hold the answers to, because a lot of those questions have been around. When are things going to reopen? When are things going to get back to normal? And the beautiful thing about it is the beaches are open. I mean, we all know, being here, the weather has been absolutely beautiful. So, simple beach weddings have still been taking place based on those, social distancing standards and things along those lines. So really just staying out there. Social media is huge. Digital footprint is huge. And I've personally just taken some time to really go back and work on some things that I know when I'm busy, I don't have the time, and I typically neglect. So really putting some processes and things in place for me that when things turn around and really start to come back, that I'll have some go-to items in the library that I can just pull from and not necessarily have to go back to the drawing board and come up with items. So honestly, if you look at my social media, I really haven't put a lot out over the month of April, because everybody's been kind of, what do we do? But this month I've ramped up, and you're going to start seeing more and more as we kind of turn this, because what I did not want, I'm happy to answer those questions, but I didn't want the influx of calls of people wanting to book and then having to change dates again.
Right.
And that's unfortunately kind of a double-edged sword, as we want business. But, one thing that I've had some business owners tell me in other industries, they say, well, that's great. Your couples aren't canceling, they're rescheduling. And while that's true, we're not losing those couples. They are rebooking for dates in the fall, in the future, which would have been bookings anyway. So what that's doing is we're moving those couples to future dates, and that's prohibiting us from gaining new couples, just as, Santana mentioned, into those dates, so that at the end of the year is going to affect the bottom line revenue.
Right, for sure. I mean, it's all along for sure. So obviously you guys have all been still trying to reach out, and kind of when you're seeing and you're talking to people and they're booking into the fall, I mean, I know there's a little bit of talk about, could this come back in the fall? I mean, have you seen people talking like that? I know I have a cousin that's supposed to be getting married in October, and she's right now trying to make that choice. Like, do we move and just completely, they have a dream of a fall wedding, so they don't want to move into spring, and they're worried about, they're thinking, like, when we get married, do we want everyone in masks? Do we want everybody, apart? Like, do we just want to hold it off a whole nother year just to have the vision that we wanted? Have you been hearing that at all, Santana?
Absolutely. And like I've said earlier, a lot of our spring weddings and events are trying to move to the fall, and they're like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And I don't want to give anyone a yes or no answer, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And I've definitely heard, now that things are opening back up, people are going out, and I'm seeing people wear masks less and less every day. So there is potential that it could come back. And so it is a little scary, and it's very hard to make those decisions. And I think a lot of it also depends on their budget. One piece of advice that I've been given to my clients is, if you're taking a hit financially right now, maybe by pushing it to next year, that gives you a little extra time to gain some more revenue and have the dream wedding that you want. Whereas if you were to have it this year, you may have to cut back on some things. So I'm trying to give them little pieces of advice without particularly coming out and saying, yes, do it, or no, don't do it, because none of us really know what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Thom, have you seen a little bit of the same with, people not sure if they want to rebook into the fall, or are they just full on, we're going to do it in the fall?
Both.
Okay.
Honestly. We have some people who are adamant they've had the wedding planned. One that as of yesterday, was canceled now for the second time due to the venue availability, as well as people's concern over the second wave or potential for, all of the things that is out there, science and math based. So the wedding was originally a spring wedding, was scheduled again for June. Now it's been pushed back to the fall with an indeterminate date. Numbers went from 120 down to potentially 50, because that's a number that continues to be used as far as potential for group gatherings. There's definitely concern over moving an event and then going through, because it's obviously difficult the first time you book it to take care of, hopefully they're finding a wedding planner or an event planner first, because that's ideal. And then working through all of the different other vendors and aspects of having a one-day event. Mm-hmm. So they've already done it once. It was difficult. Now that they booked for a second time and then are not able to have it, that third time thing is definitely concerning. And I do think people are going to, as you stated earlier, have your wedding, have a quiet wedding, and then I guess a local celebration. I know personally when I got married, we had a quiet wedding for just 3 or 4 people were involved in it. And then months later, when we were able to get the whole group together, we had a celebration and kind of, I guess, a renewal of vows and stuff. And we had all the people that we wanted there, but they couldn't be there for the initial actual reason for the wedding. So to push the celebration off to a later point that is potentially safe. So next year, we'd like to think anyways that we should be open. I think is actually, I think we're going to see more of that. And I'm not completely opposed to it. I'm not trying to not have business this year, obviously. But we're in a very unknown territory as to how it is. And we haven't seen, I personally haven't seen an event plan if somebody was going to have something in a month's time. With what we have in place, regulations we have in place right now, mentally, visually, what is going to happen if we did something in a month's time for 50 people? I mean, that's what we're playing through in our head to plan, because we do anticipate that will come up. Somebody's going to demand that this happen. So how do we address the short-term version of this and what we're going to do in the long run? So we've been revamping the website, coming up with some other additional ideas with trying to push people towards the home base, the small celebration. Not push, I guess, but make it available.
Advise.
Sctratch at home as another resource for doing this, and that's where we're at right now. Is thinking, planning for all of the different scenarios that could make themselves available.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've talked a lot about weddings, but I know like Joe and Santana, you guys do a lot of the corporate events. That's what I was trying to explain. So the ones that have been pushed off, are these corporate events being rescheduled? Are they hosting them virtually? I mean, how is that working in that kind of level? Either one of you, if you want to chime in.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, like on the corporate side of things, if people are coming in, are they rescheduling corporate events, or are they, kind of trying to host them more virtually? I mean, is that a space, or they're just holding off on all of those and putting them off until possibly next year?
I mean, our business events, I mean, if anything, they're pushing off to next year. They're not moving into the fall. I think there's more unknown in the business event area than there is into the weddings and special events.
Yeah.
What we're seeing right now is we still have a lot of people that are moving to the fall. I think it's a testament. I mean, in the wedding industry, at least, I'm on the kind of the bottom of the funnel for weddings. Usually I'm one of the last things they book versus a planner or a photographer or Eric, and catering as well too. And so I think it's a testament to the vendors, because they've been very flexible to move for brides. So I think the brides have confidence that if they move to the fall and they have to move again, that the vendors are going to work with them again. We're really not getting a lot of weddings that are pushing back until next year. There's still a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to hold their event. But from a business side of it, it is there's a lot of unknown right now. I mean, businesses, they can do their meetings via Zoom.
Yeah.
So, and you're starting to hear in our industry that corporations are pulling back on their travel. There's liability involved as well too. So I think it's still unknown. I would say, and I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I think that where we are right now, we all need to prepare that this is not going to come back until next spring. And if it comes back sooner, we're all better for it. I mean, prepare for the worst and expect the best. And that's really my business plan right now. My business plan is I'm thinking about 2021 right now.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you need to definitely have those plans. I mean, in our area, you guys all, and especially with fall being a bigger part, of your business, is you plan for the storm, literally the storms. And then now, a figurative storm that has come through and rocked our world. So trying to make those plans and adjust for them is always a great way to pivot and make those adjustments now so that you know what to do when it happens, if it happens again. So, we talked a lot about kind of what's happening, what's been going on, but I want to ask you guys, in the near future, how can our community support your businesses more? What is something that we can do to help you? I mean, I know referrals are always a big one, but what is something that you look for from the community? And I'll ask you, Brooke, go ahead and you can start first, but what's something you look for the community, and how can we help you guys grow your businesses and keep this area going?
Sure. Yeah. As you said, referrals are number one around here. And we are a tight-knit community, and we do rely on a lot of tourism. But the local base is what keeps all of us going. So as, for me, as I do these front porch sessions, if people could tag me or give me photo credit, anything that gets my name out there that people could see. If somebody's looking for somebody for a headshot, family photographer, if somebody's talking about a wedding and you ask them if they have a photographer, anytime that you can suggest me and just help me out that way, it just gets my name out there a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I put your name out there a little bit because it's funny is when I do these and I ask everyone for a headshot, they're like, I haven't had one in a while. I am like, oh, I know someone you can call. Yeah, and it's funny is you run into a lot of people, a lot of professionals like that just, they've never had to have a headshot. There's not been a reason to. And now with everything, this is how you start things. You tell people who you're going to be with. You see their picture. So yeah, it's a great way to change it. How about you, Eric?
So wash your hands, touching your face.
I know. I'm the worst at this. And I'm sitting here. I'm like, my face is itchy. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
I think really where we are as a country, where we are as an area right now, what locals can do for us is spread positivity. There is so much negativity out there right now. And, the people who potentially may be coming here in the summer, they're not looking for that. So I know we're in uncharted waters. It's an unknown territory for us as business owners, for us as individuals, with our families. But I think we just have to spread positivity and, support your local businesses. And I know you may already be married, but, if you know someone, I think what we're going to see in the short term, or at least what I'm seeing, and this really fits into my wheelhouse, is we're going to have more smaller celebrations on the beach. And then those larger, parties, as Thom mentioned, vow renewals happening later on. So, if you know someone whose, wedding plans has changed, or they've been displaced from their venue, but they still want to stick with, something simple. What better setting than something on the beach? The sun, the salt air, it's all hopefully killing the virus. So we want to be outside.
Well, and I would imagine, and I would think that if you can get through a pandemic with your current spouse and things are still good, you should have that vow renewal and celebrate it. Correct?
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. And we can do vow renewals via Zoom too. So weddings not, vow renewals yes.
Perfect. So Thom, how can we help support you guys more?
Well, we have a little bit of a unique situation. We just opened a new kitchen location in January. Took over an existing kitchen, which may allow us for some retail space. That's not what we were designed or intending to do with it, but it looks as if that's going to be something we're exploring, is the grab and go situation. Initially, when this whole thing happened with the restaurants, and so many restaurants in this town, obviously, began the curbside, they were set up to do that. But there was so much in the marketplace that everybody was only getting a little bit of it. It's like the Home Depot across the street from the Lowe's, the situation where neither one of them is going to be super successful because they're both competing for the exact same customer. So we opted not to try and compete in that market. We tried it for a week and just kind of get our feelers out there. So what we're doing now, what we want support with, is to find those creative ways to have these events, the smaller events. We looked at what if there was a time slot type drop-in event. So you have a wedding, you have your couple of family members there who are part of it, but you want to have guests. Maybe everybody gets a 15-minute slot or whatever, and they come in and have these almost like appointments, and some of it done virtually. For us, maybe we deliver food and people have, an online kind of party sort of deal. We've had a couple of online happy hours and some quizzes and stuff, and it turned out to be enjoyable. It's never going to be the same as human interaction, which we're all very much looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of it. Keep an eye out for our webpage at mfscratch.com, or Allison, of course, maintains the Facebook presence and has different things going on there, because we are going to find some new ways to get our product out there and to support the people who want to do something in the event industry, even though it's just changed 180 degrees 3 or 4 times. So that's really part of it. We're, as far as the DHEC regulations and COVID-19, we have a COVID-19 page on the website as well. That it says what we are doing currently, and most of it we've really always been doing, other than some of the vehicle sanitizing and some other extra bits with touched objects. But we're going to follow that very, very closely. Safety is most important for our customers and clients and friends that we work with.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll continue to do that, and there will be creative ways. Every one of us here on this meeting has some creative thoughts, something that they are going to come up with that might be unique, or in some cases, maybe it's not unique. Maybe somebody else came up with a great idea and it's like, whoa, that's outstanding. So we do follow that as well. We follow an international catering blog and some other people, even in other countries, to see what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
so we'll find a way, but social media right now obviously is the one way we can continue talking to each other.
Yeah, sharing everybody's information and keeping it. But those are great, open, keeping your mind open, keeping creativity flowing and seeing how to do it. I was like, I've never even thought of a time slot drop-in event, to come and say, welcome, that, congratulations on a wedding. I mean, that's kind of a different idea that you can definitely, each family. And then it's kind of nice you have some intimate time with each person instead of worrying about, getting around and seeing anyone. It's like, oh, I forgot to say thank you to great Aunt Sally for coming. You have that moment with them and pictures and all of that. Joe, how can we help support your business even more?
I would say, similar to what Eric said, positive messages. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the next couple of months. There's a lot of fear that we opened up right now in South Carolina. I think we all need to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
I would say always shop locally. In the wedding industry, I see photographers that come from other markets, caterers, wedding officiants, planners that come from other markets that aren't familiar with the Myrtle Beach area because they're destination brides. I mean, give us a chance locally. I mean, it's very difficult to bring vehicles from another market in my industry, but I do weddings in a lot of different markets, and there's a lot of talent in the wedding industry here. And the one thing that I will say is that there's not a lot of pretentiousness. Everybody works together. Everybody knows each other. So it's independent businesses working together for your event,
mm-hmm.
and they're separate, but they're working together.
Right.
And I think that says a lot when you walk in as a vendor and you know everybody in the room and what we're going to do to, do everything in our power to make the bride happy as well as the groom. So positive messages, shop locally, get moving again, have some confidence. You live once. I mean, ultimately, there's going to be some times in life where you're going to have to take some chances in your mind, and we're going to come back. We just don't know when we're going to come back. So I would say just get moving again. Think outside the box in transportation. Instead of taking a flight instead of taking a flight from Myrtle Beach to Charlotte to maybe California, there's 8 of you, think about taking a private sanitized vehicle from Myrtle Beach to Charlotte so that you can avoid one airport or one plane. Just think outside the box.
Well, rent from Joe when you're finally ready to get out and have that night out with your friends. You rent from Joe to go one place to another where you're in one car instead of Ubering all over. It makes so much sense. Keep it safe.
And I got to piggyback on that just for a second. But on Joe, unlike the flights, you may be able to BYOB and save yourself some money. So,
Eric, see, that's the positivity we need.
Absolutely.
That's great. All right, Santana, tell me how we can help you and with your new adventures that you have coming up.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm kind of like Joe, where sometimes I can be on the bottom of the totem pole. You need an officiant to get married. You need a caterer to feed your people, and you need a photographer. But sometimes when that budget is a little on the lower side, you can still have a wedding without an event planner. And so I have had to readjust kind of the way I provide my services. And so I am doing more of those consulting, one-on-one Zoom calls, one-on-one FaceTime, hey, I have this caterer, how should I readjust my menu? Or we maybe can't get a tent now, so what are some of my options? Or I'm having to move my date, but my photographer isn't available. Can you help me find someone? And back to what Joe said, we are a community over competition, and we all work really well together. And even if I may not be available for their new day update, I'll be like, here's A, B, and C, wedding or event planner that can help you out. So I think by all of us working together, referring each other, again, back to the positive notes out there, just feel free to reach out and ask any of us questions. We're all open books. We, anytime there's a newbie in the industry, we always lend a helping hand, because we don't want someone else to bring our industry to a level that it does not deserve. We don't want to bring it down. We are amazing professionals. Like Joe said, we have these vendors who come in from different markets. They don't know the market like we do. Myrtle Beach is a very unique destination, and I think we take pride in that. We take pride in knowing that. So just remembering each other and remembering to stay local, and not being scared to just pick up the phone or send an email and say, hey, what should I do about this? Or, what are your thoughts on moving it here? Don't be scared to reach out.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, what you guys said before is when you walk, or what Joe said was when you walk into an event and you guys all know each other, that would give me as a bride a sense of relief, because if Brooke knows how Eric's going to do the wedding, she knows the best ways to get shots. And if Santana, and Thom work well together, then they can figure out the best flow to the room and how to do it. And Joe knows when to get me where I need to be and how to manage so that I don't see my husband or my future husband. Like, when you're all working together, it makes the event so much better. So when you're talking about when Eric gets people calling from out of town and wanting to come in with other events, or Santana, you have brides that are coming from out of town, I mean, definitely utilizing the local market. There should be no reason that they don't. For sure. All right, as we are winding down here, you guys have been getting a lot of comments and stuff and people wanting to share, and Jamie Sanderson is on there, and he's been loving all of you guys and saying, and I echo what he said is, please go on, and I want to give each of you a moment to give me your credentials of where people can find you. So your social media, or how you want them to reach out to you, should they need your help or to refer you. So Santana, I'll let you go first.
Absolutely. So my social media has been a little quiet as I've been restructuring and working on some back-end things. But Facebook, email, website, Google, it's all the same phone number. It's all the same website, email address. Reach out at any time. I check them all multiple times a day. I know we all do. And you'll start seeing some really unique things with us, maybe some different virtual classes on if you're planning your own wedding, or even online courses for future event planners or for future brides. You'll start seeing some of that unravel here soon.
Yeah, awesome. Eric, how can we reach you?
So any social channel, Facebook, Instagram, of course, website. I just changed that there on the screen. You've got
He's always so smart.
MBWed.com is my short handle. or Eric at mbweds.com would be my email address, or any of these professionals on this call. We all refer to one another. I mean, we are a community, and we're here to help our couples, and we want to refer to the best when we do that. So that's what we're here to do. So yeah, pretty much anywhere. Just Google my name. I'll pop up somewhere.
Oh, goodness. Somewhere he'll pop up.
Somewhere I'll pop up.
Somewhere.
Brooke, how about you?
Same thing, social media, Facebook, Instagram, website is www.christl.com, and phone number is the same, and I get a lot of text messages as well. So
That's great. And Thom, how do we reach out to MF Sctratch, and where is this new location going to be, or is it? Thom?
It's Carolina Forest. It's the old, not I say the old. It's what used to be the Leslie O'Neill's juice.
Be Well Meals. Okay.
Well Meals. Thank you.
Yeah.
I need more coffee.
Yeah, it is early. I'm sorry.
That's we've been transitioning from, because we were in a warehouse type location before, which was not retail friendly, and we're still maintaining that because we also want to support the food trucks and some of the other local culinary businesses that might not be able to afford a kitchen. So we have that available, and we're maintaining that. But the website is mfscratch.com. It's also madefromscratch.com is the reason we don't have that one. That was somebody else. The Facebook page, same, and then a single phone number, which is a cell phone and reaches us anytime at 843-798-8028. There's also Instagram, and whatever other brand new thing comes out, I'm certain that somehow or other our web designer and programmer will have us attached to that as well. And Google and the Google reviews. Those are also probably, I guess, the first thing that comes up for any of us.
Right. Yeah.
So that's our contact stuff.
Who's excited to see Thom's new TikTok? And I will say that real quick before I let Joe go is make sure that you go on, if you've worked with these individuals, Google reviews is huge. So if you go on and if you're partnered with them, to do a good review on them, because that's where a lot of people, especially out of town markets, are find our reviews. Go ahead, Joe. Tell us how we reach you.
So you can reach us at carolinalimo.com. We're on social media, Facebook. Facebook's our dominant platform. I recommend anybody who's doing a special event, go like who you're considering. It's like a running resume of who you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting out positive messages. We're not putting out really offers. We are going to be offering in the next couple of weeks 50% off pricing for reservations that are Sunday through Friday.
Okay.
But carolinalimo.com. We all live in Myrtle Beach. I hear it all the time from everybody in Myrtle Beach. When I call somebody to spend money, it takes a day or 2 days for somebody to get back to me, or they don't call us back. You will be surprised how fast we will call you. You send us an email, more than likely, before you're away from the computer, we will be calling you. We're a 24/7 business. So carolinalimo.com, our phone number is 843-294-5466, which spells out limo, ironically. And definitely love to work with everybody in the future.
That is awesome. Well, thank you guys all. Does anyone have anything else that they want to share real quick before we wrap it up? We all good? All right. Well,
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie.
I appreciate you guys all coming on. That's why we do this, is just to kind of share what our community is doing and how we can help each other like we do in Myrtle Beach. We are all here for each other and to work with each other. And just as Eric says, is we are here to spread the positivity, because we are opening back up and things are going to be good and we are going to thrive more than we have ever before. So we are excited. So thank you for joining us for this meeting with Extraordinary Minds. Don't forget that we do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:10 on our Facebook page. Next week on Tuesday, we're going to be talking to, much like this group of people, we're going to be talking to people in the travel space. So seeing how that has affected them and trying to regrow and affect it. And that's what people are asking them. When are we going to be able to do this again? And how can we move forward? And when is this going to open? So kind of get some advice from them on that spot. So we'll see you back here at 9:10 on Tuesday for our next meeting with Extraordinary Minds. Thank you all for joining us and have a great weekend.
Take care, guys.